The truth finally comes out. Candace Owens, the conservative commentator known for speaking her mind, has broken her silence, and this time, it's explosive. She's addressing the controversy surrounding Charlie Kirk's parents, claiming that what everyone thought they knew wasn't even close to the truth. For weeks, whispers and rumors have swirled online. Supporters of Kirk's family insisted they were innocent in the controversy that has rocked social media. But now, Candace is stepping into the conversation, telling her side of the story and exposing details that no one else dared to share publicly. In a recent interview, she claimed people were lied to, everyone. The narrative they pushed didn't match what really happened behind closed doors. Fans immediately began speculating, what exactly did Kirk's parents do? And why has Candace decided to go public now, after so much silence? The implications are massive. Candace Owens doesn't speak without purpose. Every statement she makes carries weight, and now she's putting a national spotlight on a family previously thought untouchable. Social media erupted within hours, with hashtags trending and fans dissecting every word. This isn't just commentary. This is a revelation that threatens to change public perception, spark heated debates, and force questions that nobody can ignore. Here's the inside story of Candace Owens' explosive revelation, what she said about Charlie Kirk's parents, how the public reacted, and why this might be just the beginning of a firestorm that won't die down anytime soon. The political world rarely stays quiet for long, but when Candace Owens speaks, people listen. Known for her bold statements, fearless commentary, and no-holds-barred approach, Owens has a reputation for stirring debate. Now, she's added fuel to the fire, addressing one of the most talked-about controversies in recent political circles, Charlie Kirk's parents. For months, social media has been buzzing with questions, theories, and whispers. Followers of Kirk have defended his family, insisting they were misunderstood, while critics accused them of withholding information or misrepresenting events surrounding Charlie's rise and personal controversies. Until now, nobody had heard Owens' side, and her statements have turned the conversation upside down. In a recent live stream that quickly went viral, Candace Owens didn't hold back. She began by emphasizing the importance of truth. "I've stayed silent long enough," she said. "People deserve the full picture, and the narrative that's been pushed just isn't the truth." Her tone was firm, yet controlled, the kind of delivery that commands attention without seeming dramatic, but still leaves the listener hanging on every word. Owens went on to claim that Charlie Kirk's parents had actively misled the public about key aspects of Charlie's upbringing, choices, and family dynamics. "They lied to everyone," she asserted. "Not in small ways. Big ways. The kind of lies that shape public perception, that control the story people believe about him." This revelation immediately drew reactions from both supporters and critics alike. Many of Owens' followers were shocked. Candace, after all, has a massive platform and doesn't make such claims lightly. For her to publicly call out Kirk's parents suggested she had substantial information, or at least insights, she deemed credible enough to risk the backlash. The controversy reportedly traces back to Charlie Kirk's early rise as a political figure. Sources close to the family suggest that while he was building his brand and expanding his influence, certain narratives about his upbringing were emphasized or downplayed, depending on who was telling the story. Owens hinted that the family may have exaggerated certain hardships, while omitting other details that might alter the public's perception of Charlie's character and motivations. Critics immediately took to social media to challenge Owens. Tweets and posts flooded in, some defending Kirk's parents, others questioning Candace's motives. One trending comment read, "Why is Candace Owens digging up family drama now? Is this political, personal, or both?" Another stated, "If what she's saying is true, this changes everything we thought we knew about Charlie Kirk." But Owens remained unshaken. She elaborated that the lies she referred to were not trivial but strategic. They were part of a carefully curated image, crafted to make Charlie appear in a particular light, the self-made, unflinching conservative activist. According to Owens, this image, while partly true, was incomplete. And it's the omissions that matter most. "I'm not here to attack Charlie personally," Candace clarified in her live stream. "I respect his work, his voice, and his influence. But the people shaping the story around him, they've been dishonest. And when you lie to everyone about someone else, that's a problem we all need to see." For political observers, this statement was explosive. Candace Owens doesn't often criticize families unless she believes there's a broader lesson or warning for the public. Her words suggested that the lies, in her view, weren't just personal misrepresentations. They were a form of narrative manipulation with consequences beyond the family. Within hours of the live stream, clips were shared on Twitter, X, and YouTube. Headlines popped up, some stating plainly, "Candace Owens calls out Charlie Kirk's parents for lies," while others took a more sensationalist approach. "Owens reveals family secrets no one knew." The viral spread turned a private family matter into a national conversation. Reactions came from all sides. Conservatives were divided. Some agreed with Owens, seeing it as a necessary exposure of the truth and applauding her courage. Others felt she overstepped, claiming that family matters shouldn't be public fodder, regardless of the information she had. Meanwhile, media outlets scrambled to provide context. Several attempted to trace the claims Owens made back to verified sources, interviewing family friends and insiders. While no concrete evidence could immediately confirm the specifics of every statement she made, the sheer fact that Candace Owens was publicly accusing the parents of misleading the public was enough to ignite debate. On social media, the hashtags #CandaceOwens, #CharlieKirkParents, #TruthBomb began trending. People dissected every second of her live stream, pausing on phrases like, "They lied to everyone," and "The story you've been told is incomplete." Memes, threads, and opinion videos quickly followed. Fans of Owens defended her as someone who calls it like it is, while supporters of the Kirks questioned her credibility, suggesting the claims might be personal, political, or even strategic to shift attention. One particularly notable reaction came from independent journalists who analyzed Owens' language and delivery. They pointed out that her calm, assertive tone indicated more than just opinion. It suggested first-hand knowledge or access to credible sources. "Candace doesn't make statements like this lightly," one wrote. "When she does, it's usually backed by something she considers verifiable." The public, meanwhile, was left wondering, why now? Why did Owens choose this moment to speak out? Some speculate that recent political events made the timing strategic. Others believe that Owens personally knew about discrepancies in the narrative surrounding Charlie Kirk's early life and career, and finally felt compelled to speak before misinformation solidified further. Adding fuel to the fire, some commenters highlighted previous interviews and public statements from Kirk's parents. When compared to Owens' claims, inconsistencies began to appear, though not all could be verified. Still, social media amplified these differences, prompting users to call for transparency and accountability. Candace's approach, however, wasn't purely accusatory. She framed it as a lesson on honesty and the importance of truthful narratives. "It's not about shame," she emphasized. "It's about understanding the truth behind the stories we are told, especially when they influence millions of people." By the end of the day, Owens' live stream had over 2 million views, hundreds of thousands of comments, and thousands of shares. It sparked heated debates on late-night shows, political podcasts, and conservative media outlets, all dissecting what she said and what it meant for Charlie Kirk's public image. In the middle of all this, Candace Owens maintained her composure. She didn't engage with trolls, didn't respond to personal attacks. A narrative? If so, why? And what impact will this revelation have on Charlie Kirk's future, both personally and politically? What's certain is this: Candace Owens has put the spotlight on a story that many wanted to remain quiet. She forced transparency, debate, and scrutiny in a way few could ignore. And the ripple effect is only beginning. The story is far from over. Fans and political commentators alike are now waiting for responses from Charlie Kirk, his parents, and other insiders. Statements, clarifications, and perhaps even confrontations are expected in the coming days, as the nation continues to digest Candace Owens' explosive revelations. This is only the beginning of a conversation that could change the way the public perceives one of the most prominent young conservative voices in America, and the family behind him. The fallout from Candace Owens' explosive revelation didn't take long to reach a fever pitch. Within hours of her live stream, public scrutiny of Charlie Kirk's parents intensified, and debates spread across social media, political forums, and even mainstream news outlets. What had started as a bold statement was now a full-blown controversy, and Owens seemed prepared for every reaction. Immediately after the live stream, analysts dissected her words, searching for the implications of her claim that Kirk's parents lied to everyone. Some focused on what she implied about Charlie's upbringing. Owens suggested that certain hardships he spoke of publicly may have been exaggerated or selectively presented to craft a particular image, that of a self-made, unstoppable conservative activist. According to Owens, the truth was far more nuanced, and the narrative promoted by his parents obscured key details. She elaborated on this point during a follow-up podcast interview, saying, "It's not about attacking Charlie. It's about understanding that the story you've been told is curated, controlled, and in some cases, deliberately misleading. People think they know the man, but they don't know the full context of how he got here." The timing of her statements, coming amidst Kirk's continued political rise, made the revelations even more significant. Supporters of Kirk were quick to respond, emphasizing that Charlie himself had always been transparent about his accomplishments and challenges. Critics, however, seized on Owens' words as confirmation that the family may have prioritized image over authenticity. Owens' claims also extended beyond Charlie's childhood and early career. She hinted that the family had manipulated certain personal and professional decisions, sometimes influencing the public perception of controversies involving him. While she didn't reveal every detail, her statements suggested a deeper web of control than the public had been aware of. When you see someone rise this fast, and the story always seems perfect, you have to wonder who's scripting it, she said. Social media erupted in response. Hashtags like #CharlieKirkTruth, #CandaceOwensExposes, and #FamilyLies began trending. Fans dissected every interview clip, looking for confirmation or contradiction. Some users speculated about possible political motivations behind Owens' revelations, while others praised her courage in speaking out. Many argued that regardless of intent, the public deserved to hear alternative perspectives, especially from someone as influential as Owens. In the midst of the online frenzy, political commentators started drawing attention to specific discrepancies in past interviews with Kirk's parents. Some analysts noted inconsistencies between statements made about his early financial struggles and educational path. Others highlighted differences in narratives surrounding key personal decisions that had shaped his public persona. Owens, in her interviews, encouraged people to examine these inconsistencies critically rather than taking anyone's word at face value. "What I'm exposing isn't conjecture," she said. "It's about observing the patterns, the control, and the inconsistencies in the narrative. People have a right to know." Owens also addressed potential backlash against her. She acknowledged that targeting a family figure could be seen as controversial, but she framed it as a necessary step toward transparency. "I'm not doing this to hurt anyone personally," she stated. But when deception is perpetuated at a scale that shapes public opinion, it becomes everyone's concern. The controversy took an even more personal turn when Owens revealed that she had direct knowledge from insiders who claimed to have witnessed events differently than what had been publicly presented. "I've spoken to people who were there," she said. "People who know what really went down, and I can assure you, it doesn't match the version most people have been told." Her statements were a clear signal. This was not mere speculation. Owens was asserting that she had credible sources, and her credibility as a commentator lent weight to the claims. Media outlets quickly picked up on this angle, with analysts debating whether this exposure would affect Kirk's political credibility or his image as a conservative figure. The public's reaction was intense and varied. Supporters of Kirk tried to defend the family, arguing that private matters should remain private, and that Owens was weaponizing personal history for attention. Others criticized Kirk's parents, suggesting that if Owens' claims were accurate, the public had a right to know the truth. Online discussions exploded with comments like, "If the story is curated, what else have they hidden?" and "Candace Owens isn't making baseless claims, she's exposing a pattern of manipulation." Owens' approach in this part of the controversy was careful but firm. She emphasized that her intention was never to vilify Charlie himself, but to shed light on the structural influence of his family on the narrative that shaped public perception. "Charlie is not the problem," she said. "The issue is when people trust a narrative without questioning who controls it." Interestingly, her statements reignited debates about accountability in political families. Critics argued that the scrutiny of family influence was a necessary conversation in modern politics, highlighting the blurred lines between personal guidance and public manipulation. Owens became a focal point for those advocating for transparency, especially when it came to influential figures whose narratives shape public thought. The controversy also had a ripple effect on Kirk's own engagements. In interviews following Owens' revelations, he was asked directly about his parents' influence and whether he felt any of the information presented about him had been misleading. While he denied intentional deception, he acknowledged that narratives are often more complex than they appear. "I always want to be transparent," he said. "But people also have to recognize that family and personal history are complicated. Not everything fits neatly into a story." Meanwhile, Owens' continued engagement with the topic only amplified the conversation. She shared select clips from past interviews, provided commentary on inconsistencies, and encouraged viewers to analyze the information critically. "Do your research," she urged. "Look at the evidence. Question what you're told. That's how you understand the full story." As days turned into a week, the fallout intensified. Supporters and critics alike debated not only the specifics of the family's influence, but also the broader implications of Owens' revelation. Could this alter Kirk's credibility? Would it affect the conservative movement he represents? Or was this simply a personal family matter that had inadvertently gone public? What was clear, however, was that Candace Owens had succeeded in sparking a national conversation. She had challenged a carefully curated narrative, forcing the public to question what they had accepted at face value. And whether people agreed or disagreed, the discussion had already changed the perception of Charlie Kirk's public story. By the end of the week, social media remained abuzz. Owens' clips had been shared millions of times, and news outlets continued to dissect her statements. Some began comparing her approach to other high-profile political whistleblowers, noting her calm, methodical, and unapologetic delivery. The consensus among analysts was that Owens had shifted the conversation, and now Kirk and his family would need to respond, carefully, strategically, and transparently. One insider suggested that the next step could involve a public statement or interview from Kirk's parents, aiming to clarify or refute Owens' claims. Others speculated that Charlie himself might address the controversy, emphasizing independence from his family's influence. Owens herself seemed unbothered by the chaos. Her message remained consistent: transparency, honesty, and critical thinking are non-negotiable. "You can't just trust the surface," she reminded viewers. "You have to dig deeper, ask questions, and understand the people behind the stories. That's the only way you see the truth." And so, as the debate raged on, Candace Owens stood firm, her words echoing across social media, news outlets, and political circles. The stage was now set for the next chapter, one that promised even more revelations, and, potentially, responses from the people she'd publicly challenged. The controversy sparked by Candace Owens' statements about Charlie Kirk's parents reached its peak as the nation watched the drama unfold. After days of online debates, viral clips, and heated discussions on every platform, the public was hungry for more context, for answers from the people at the center of the storm. What followed was a series of revelations, clarifications, and confrontations that only intensified the conversation. The first major development came when Kirk's parents decided to break their silence. They released a statement through a family spokesperson, directly addressing Owens' claims. "We have always prioritized honesty and integrity in everything we do," the statement read. "Any suggestion otherwise is unfounded. Our son's success is a result of his hard work and dedication, and our role has been to support him, not manipulate him." While the statement aimed to defend their reputation, it only fueled further scrutiny. Social media users dissected each word, comparing it to Owens' live stream and interviews. Some commentators argued that the phrasing, particularly unfounded, was defensive and hinted at an acknowledgement that narratives had been selectively presented. Others praised the parents for attempting to address the situation without escalating tension. Candace Owens responded almost immediately. She appeared in another live stream, calm yet resolute, reiterating that her intention was never personal attack, but accountability. "I'm not here to vilify anyone," she said. "But if people present a curated story as the complete truth, the public deserves to know. That's all I'm doing." Her poise and composure drew widespread admiration, even from those critical of her statements. Meanwhile, the public reaction grew more polarized. Supporters of Owens argued that the Kirk family's response was vague and insufficient, failing to address the specific allegations about manipulated narratives. Critics of Owens, however, accused her of escalating a personal family matter for political gain, suggesting that she was attempting to insert herself into a controversy to generate attention. The conversation soon expanded beyond just social media commentary. Major news outlets began covering the dispute, analyzing Owens' claims, and investigating potential discrepancies in past interviews with Kirk's parents. One investigative piece compared statements made over the years by Kirk's parents about his upbringing and professional decisions, noting subtle differences that Owens had highlighted. The piece didn't confirm deliberate deception, but suggested that narratives could be more complex than initially presented. Candace Owens, however, didn't back down. She began providing additional context in interviews, explaining that her sources weren't just casual acquaintances, but individuals with direct knowledge of the family's inner workings. "I spoke to people who were present, who witnessed events firsthand," she said. "The inconsistencies I'm pointing out are observable, verifiable if investigated properly. It's about transparency, not opinion." The controversy took an even more dramatic turn when Charlie Kirk himself was asked about the situation during a podcast appearance. He acknowledged the tension, but emphasized that he was focused on his work and mission rather than public disputes. "I respect Candace and her right to speak her truth," he said. "I also know my family and their intentions. At the end of the day, I'm responsible for my own actions and my own story." However, his attempt at neutrality didn't calm the online storm. Social media users continued to debate every nuance of his statements, scrutinizing the balance between independence and familial influence. Memes, threads, and clips analyzing his tone and word choice quickly went viral, keeping the controversy trending for days. Amid the heightened public attention, Candace Owens maintained a strategic focus. She continued to emphasize the broader lesson that narratives should be questioned, public figures should be scrutinized, and transparency is critical in understanding the full story. "This isn't about tearing down anyone," she said. "It's about ensuring the public isn't misled. That's what accountability looks like." By the middle of the week, a new development emerged. Several independent journalists confirmed certain discrepancies in past statements made by Kirk's parents. While nothing suggested intentional deceit, the reports aligned with Owens' observations, highlighting that public narratives often omit key details, whether intentionally or not. The confirmation fueled Owens' supporters, who saw it as validation of her claims, while skeptics continued to debate the significance. The controversy also caught the attention of political commentators and late-night hosts, who began framing it as a case study in family influence, media narrative, and the public's perception of young political figures. Owens' involvement was portrayed as a catalyst for accountability, with analysts noting her ability to command attention and spark discourse. Social media remained relentless. Every statement from Owens, Kirk, or his parents was analyzed and debated. Twitter and X feeds were filled with hashtags like #CandaceOwensExposes, #CharlieKirkFamily, and #TruthMatters. Videos of Owens' live streams, interviews, and reactions from various commentators amassed millions of views. Memes and opinion threads continued to circulate, ensuring that the story remained at the forefront of public consciousness. In the midst of the chaos, Owens' approach remained consistent. She avoided personal attacks and focused on facts, observations, and patterns. "My role isn't to pick sides," she said in one follow-up live stream. "It's to encourage people to ask questions, to think critically, and to understand that what we're shown isn't always the full story. That's how we ensure transparency in public life." As the week drew to a close, it became clear that the controversy had sparked a lasting dialogue about family influence, narrative control, and public perception. While immediate outcomes, apologies, reconciliations, or confirmations, were limited, Owens' intervention had fundamentally altered how people viewed the story of Charlie Kirk and his rise. Many political observers noted that the long-term impact could extend beyond Kirk's immediate circle. The situation highlighted how narratives are crafted, the importance of questioning sources, and the critical role that outspoken commentators like Candace Owens play in ensuring public awareness. Whether one agreed with her methods or not, her impact on the discourse was undeniable. By the end of the controversy, Owens had accomplished what she set out to do: spark scrutiny, provoke discussion, and shine a light on discrepancies in a widely accepted narrative. Charlie Kirk, his parents, and the broader public were now forced to reconsider their perceptions, evaluate the information available, and confront the complexities behind public personas. Ultimately, the story served as a reminder that even in politics, where image and reputation are meticulously managed, accountability and transparency remain paramount. Candace Owens' bold decision to speak out reinforced the notion that truth often requires courage, persistence, and the willingness to challenge narratives, no matter how widely accepted they might be. As social media buzzed, mainstream outlets covered the fallout, and public debate raged on, one fact remained clear: the narrative surrounding Charlie Kirk's parents had changed forever. Thanks to Owens, the story was no longer just about him or his career. It was about the importance of honesty, scrutiny, and the complex intersection of family, influence, and public perception. The public watched, analyzed, and reacted. Candace Owens had set the stage, and the conversation would continue for months. Every interview, statement, and public appearance became an opportunity for further scrutiny, ensuring that the story she revealed wouldn't fade anytime soon. In the end, whether people agreed with her or not,